Hi, I'm Jody Facina, Managing Director of Insight Strategy. Today I want to share with you what are my 5 top tips for appearing before a parliamentary inquiry. If you're called as a witness, it can be a very daunting experience. Over the years I've had the opportunity to guide many CEOs and senior executives on how to appear before a parliamentary inquiry. Personally, I also find it a very fulfilling experience to be able to give that advice and guidance and see a CEO and a senior executives appear before what can be a difficult inquiry and put in a really good performance for both their company and for them personally. With that, let's now turn to what those tips are. Firstly, it pays to know the makeup of the committee. This means doing some research on who the committee members are. What I tend to find over the years that regardless of the size of the committee, there's usually 2 or 3 key members that have driven the inquiry, mainly because they have a special interest in the subject matter. It therefore pays to know who the committee members are, what are their interests, and what is the motivation for the inquiry that they've established. My second tip is be very aware of the powers of a parliamentary committee because they're quite extensive. At the core of these powers is the power to both compel the production of documents on behalf of an organisation and to compel the attendance of witnesses. While these powers are rarely used by a committee, they do exist. My other piece of advice would be, remember, this is a parliamentary process. It's not a legal process. Yet I've seen many companies and witnesses time and time again want to rely upon the advice of their lawyers as opposed to their professional consultants. And in doing so, they do so, in my opinion, to the detriment of both themselves and their organisation. As I said, it's a political process, it's not a legal process. My third tip is define the focus of the inquiry. In my experience, they tend to be either politically focused or policy focused. Once you've determined what they are, that in many ways then drives the decision as to who should appear. Would it be a subject matter expert, for example, to appear before a policy-focused inquiry, or do you need the CEO to appear to defend the organisation for what, in the main, is a politically focused inquiry? It's a key decision and an important one to be made, but what is the focus of the inquiry will help drive that decision as to who should attend. My fourth tip is preparation is a must. Just as a sporting team doesn't take the field having not trained, why would you as a CEO or a senior executive appear before a parliamentary inquiry without both preparing and practice? And I can't say this enough. Practice, practice, and practice again. In my experience, it's the witness that has appeared before an inquiry that is both unprepared or overconfident that usually comes off second best. And the worst outcome from that is they tend to lead the TV news that night and media more generally. That is not the place you want to be. So my fourth tip, practice, prepare, and practice again. My final tip is be aware of your demeanour. From my years of experience, this goes to both your non-verbal and verbal communication, how you're both perceived and how you both communicate to the committee members. Factors such as not appearing to be arrogant, overconfident, dismissive, while being respectful of the committee will serve you well. For my years of doing this, I've seen many a CEO and senior executive not serve either themselves well or the organisation there to represent if they are not conscious of their demeanour. I hope you've found my 5 tips useful, because appearing before a parliamentary inquiry is not something to be taken lightly. It's a serious process. I tend to spend a minimum of 2 to 3 days providing guidance and counsel to CEOs or senior executives in regards to an upcoming parliamentary appearance. It's clear that both committee members, and I can tell from my own experience, they know when a witness is unprepared, and an unprepared witness is fair game for committee members and also potentially the media, and that is a place you don't want to be.